Hi, I'm Alice, and I'm judged because my boyfriend is 3'10". I honestly wish that people weren't so prejudiced. They stare at us when we're walking down the street or whenever we go out on dates. I met Jack 4 years ago, while we were studying in college, and made a silly joke that immediately made me laugh. He was hilarious, and the more we talked, the more I chuckled. I had always wanted to date a guy who could make me laugh that easily. He was so small, though, and I wasn't certain if I could date him. The more we got to know each other, the more I understood that height didn't really matter. So when Jack finally gathered the courage to ask me out, I immediately said yes. Our first date was so awkward, because he was so nervous. But the kiss goodnight was magical. He was far more confident on our second date, and ever since then, we've been inseparable. After graduating from college, we decided to move in together. That meant looking for an apartment that could accommodate his height. But I didn't mind at all. It made sense to me that he should feel comfortable in his own home. You see, Jack was born with a congenital disease that affects his growth, as well as some of his organs. His health is a bit delicate, but after undergoing a few surgeries, he managed to live a normal life. He is incredibly witty and so funny. I love hanging out with him, and he's honestly the best kisser I've ever dated. Jack managed to make me fall madly in love with him. To me, his height is just one more thing I cherish about him. He wouldn't be the man he is today if he was born a tall man, and so I wouldn't have him any other way. The problem is, people really judge us. My parents freaked out when I introduced him to them. I had decided to take Jack to my mum and dad's place for dinner. I warned them that he was a bit on the short side and that they should be open-minded about it. They weren't expecting him to be 3'10". They immediately stared at him in shock, and Jack noticed it once. He was used to being stared at, but I didn't appreciate it one bit. I expected my mum and dad to act politely around him. After all, he was my boyfriend, and I loved him. They should have been happy for me. The dinner was incredibly awkward. They kept asking questions about his height. In the end, I decided enough was enough. Jack and I walked out on them. I didn't agree to mum or dad again until they apologized to him. Luckily, nowadays they absolutely love him. But it was a struggle to get to them accepting the man I was dating. That was very painful. When we were out on dates, people always stare at us. Some even take pictures and pretend they aren't aiming their cell phones at us. It makes me so mad. One guy who wanted to go on a date with me, after finding out who was my boyfriend, even asked me if I was with Jack because I pitied him. I was so angry. I threw my drink at him. People can be so close-minded, and they don't understand that love can blossom everywhere. Height doesn't matter. All I care about is that Jack makes me laugh and is the love of my life. I plan on marrying him soon, and I hope we have beautiful children. If they are short like him, I'll love them just as much. Jack has learned to accept the attention that comes with his condition. He doesn't care that people laugh when he walks by, and he just ignores the stares. The worst are the immature teenagers or young men who scream things at him from their cars or when they are walking down the street. I get furious whenever he is mocked. But Jack asked me not to worry. He doesn't want me to waste my time getting upset with people who aren't worth it. I hope that people learn that judging people based on their height, skin color, or any silly thing like that is horrible. No one likes being mocked and stared at, and they shouldn't do it to others either. Jack is the most amazing guy I ever met, and those who don't give him a chance because he is short are missing out big time. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and check out other videos in the channel.
Hey, I am Lola. I've recently broken off a friendship with a former friend. Her name is Angie, and she used to be such a sweetheart that loved to have fun and joke around. But before I get into the story, I want to get into the background first. Around age 13, I started my first year in junior high. I was that girl with brown hair, with a bob cut, and brown eyes that loved to wear jeans with my Mickey Mouse shirt all the time. It was scary at first, because I wasn't good at making friends, and I was scared all the time when my sister wasn't with me. It took a while for me to get comfortable with my school life, but regardless of my fears, I knew that my fraternal twin and I would always stick together because we are best friends and always will be. About a month into the school year, I decided to make the best of the year by getting amazing grades in my classes to impress my parents and teachers, especially my classmates. I became so confident in myself that I made my first friend. Let's call him Handsome, because he also became my first actual boyfriend. Then I started making more friends. I met Angie through another friend named Kate. The three of us would always hang out together during our classes and our lunches when my sister had the opposite lunch. Angie was the type of girl that loved to wear sweatpants all the time with some colorful shirts with her light brown and grayish eyes to coordinate together. Kate's had a similar style, but loved always coordinating flowers to her look, with her pretty curly brown hair and brown eyes. We were the ordinary group that loved talking about topics like crushes, anime, music, teachers, and other students. Until close to the end of the year, Kate had to change schools because she was moving to another state. So it was me and Angie left in the group. We kept on being good friends until there came a huge surprise for me. Around our junior year, her behavior changed when she started dating boys. I was happy for her when she started dating one of my other former friends. His name is Andy, and we had the same wildlife biology class together. Also, he was really good friends with Handsome. He and Angie would always sit with me and Handsome during our lunches. Even whenever my teacher gave us work, we would help each other out for a bit and talk about how things are with him and Angie. I would always need to make sure that Angie was in the right hands, because she would usually end up in the wrong hands and end up being hurt. Usually, her relationships would end due to constant arguing with her boyfriends and deeper reasons. When Angie does get into these breakups, she would Snapchat me about how much she hates her exes and blame innocent people for the breakups. It started getting emotionally draining when she started complaining about her exes and talking bad on my friends. But I tried to justify her behavior to myself, because maybe she was going through a difficult situation with family besides the breakups. So I ignored her bad behavior. Then, one time, when it was my lunch break, I was sitting with Handsome, Andy, and Angie at our favorite lunch table. Andy was just joking around and acting goofy as usual. Then suddenly, she decides to slap him in the face, hard. Handsome and I were shocked, because it looked painful. I confronted her about the smack to Andy, and she started screaming at me really loud that most of the people were looking at our table. It was embarrassing. So Handsome and I decided to leave the table to get away from the screaming. Then, later that day, Handsome tells me in a text after school that Angie wants us to hang out with Andy and her on her birthday. We decided to accept the invite so we would be able to hang out together. Then came Angie's birthday. Andy was driving us to a bowling alley to where we were going to celebrate her birthday. The entire time, Angie didn't even speak to me. She was angry on her happy day. She didn't even celebrate and complained the entire time to Andy. Otherwise, I still had a lot of fun with Handsome. It's always a blast when we're hanging out together. It was about 2 weeks after her birthday. I would send casual hellos on text, and she doesn't respond to me. I was so confused about why she was treating me so badly. Even seeing her in person, when I gave one of my hugs, she wouldn't hug me back. I even asked this question, "Is something up? What's wrong?" She didn't say anything to me. Later that day, Handsome tells me during our lunch that Angie thinks that I like Andy? But he doesn't believe that I like Andy, because we've been together for about 4 years since the 7th grade, and he knows I love him. Besides, I was good friends with him, but I wasn't in love. But when I was going to text Andy about why Angie thought I had feelings for him, I found out that Angie blocked me from Andy's account. That was my breaking point. Quickly, I texted Angie and decided to cut ties with her, and blocked her. I felt free, but sad at the same time, because she blocked me back. But the story doesn't end here. It was about a month and a half since we didn't talk. I would always get sad around her, because she was a dear friend of mine. Taking a deep breath, I decided to type an apology message to keep the peace, because I missed being friends with her, even though she started the issue. Handsome sends the message to Andy, since I didn't have any contact with any of them, so that he could forward the message to Angie. Later that day, Angie unblocks me, but she wouldn't let me talk to Andy, because I found out she is possessive. I wasn't the only one she wouldn't let Andy talk to, but his other friends also. For about a week of trying to patch this friendship, I decided to give up on trying, because she didn't care about me, by not talking to me and talking trash about me to Handsome. I was furious. Yeah, I know we had a texting war, and that's not how this situation should have been handled. But I was more shocked when Andy got in the middle by contacting me through Handsome and started defending Angie, and saying that she has changed and she is good to him. That fight resorted to losing Andy as my friend. After that fight, I was sobbing under my blankets, and left confused about the whole situation that led up to the fighting. It's been 3 months now. I've been focusing more on my hobbies, like hiking more with my sisters, crocheting, and talking to my other friends. I recently got my learner's permit from the DMV, and I'm going to become a senior in high school after summer is over to start fresh. If there was a lesson to learn from this, don't hesitate to break off a toxic friendship, and don't stay. It's better to focus on the people that love and care about you than ones that don't. Please, write what you think in the comments. If you have the same situation, send us your story. Write or record it, as a professional voice actor will record your story. Subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends.